find out shortly as we're going to map number 1 of this second series here, right between psygib and dramiS. We did say that dramiS has probably got the advantage in all 3 of these maps, as he's statistically been looking very, very strong. But psygib will be starting off with his POV to see exactly what mischief he's going to be up to.
Well, the cameras are obviously swapped around, but don't worry. There we go. Don't worry, stream, we caught it. I know you all point it out. And rest assured, I guarantee 20 people probably pointed out. But don't worry, we're ready. We're good to go. You didn't see nothing. You didn't see nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. However, we are looking at things currently through psygib's point of view. And the opening play towards heavy will commence. And for these heavy champions, armor is very much welcomed. We're going to trade 1 item each so far. No rocket ready for psygib just yet, but I feel like that's just about to change, perhaps. The LG going to be one of the prime weapons in this matchup, as it often tends to be. And now psygib. I was just about to say before that sneaky rail that I think psygib had lost sight of where dramiS was. He was already listening out, but dramiS was making his position nice and hidden. And it's going to set up kind of nicely for this next rotation of items. 4 seconds left to go. I think it's likely dramiS is going to make this push. And psygib was prepared for it. Nice positional play, actually, to make it so he can take this mega. However, rail versus rail versus rail. Misses the shot. Expects dramiS to run a little bit more forward. But that would have been the kill shot. That's an unfortunate way to miss it.
Fair play to dramiS as well. He was at a disadvantage in terms of stack, and he did such a huge amount of damage. Oh, psygib's actually railable now. He needs to try and back away as soon as physically possible. Still try and keep that angle, using the spit to try and keep him at bay to pick up this mega. But do you know what? It's done its dues. You may question maybe should have dramiS pushed up into the spit just to make sure to secure that, but of course he didn't know how railable he was. He probably assumed he wasn't, maybe because he assumed that he picked up that light up the top, which he didn't. And now psygib just standing his ground here. Remember, he does have the agility he needs with the soul lag to maybe take a few risks picking up some of these items. And also chasing the frag as he sees fit. But again, needs to keep an eye on his ammo management. He hasn't got many rockets or rails left to contend these next items soon enough. Realises that, refills with the rockets. And does hear the audio cue directly above him. Backs off straight away. Items aren't giving up for another 15 seconds here, but both players now heavily stacked. We're just waiting for this next engagement here and who's going to go for what, where, and how. And it looks like psygib has the advantage going for this heavy, but he's already taken way too much damage in the forefront. Good try bolt as well, just to add a little bit more to the tally here, considering he wasn't really in the he was in a good position, but just didn't have the health in order to continue contending with that heavy earlier on. So very uncharacteristic here, you know, no frags as of yet. 3 minutes have passed and both of them just playing a very calculated approach at the start of his first map.
Yeah, the issue being dramiS has had way more armor all the way through, so he was happy to make that push if necessary. He's done a ton of LG damage, and psygib kind of doing all he can in that position. He knows he's so weak that if he pulls out anything other than a rocket, he's probably not going to get the damage that he needs, so do as much as you can for bonus. You'll spawn with a good stack. We can push forward and, in this instance, actually steal the mega and get yourself a frag as a bonus little prize. Well played. Able to avoid the grenades, so dramiS isn't going to get that little bit of information. But okay, it was like a kind of careful 3.5 minutes, and then there was a rather explosive encounter. And now I feel like we might be going back to a little bit more methodical. Hang on a minute, though. Maybe I spoke too soon. That opening rail might have other plans. There's the acid ticking down. Knows that dramiS is running underneath, but it's far too risky to push towards that heavy. But what has psygib done now, though? The mega is in play, a little bit of armor, but that's not going to save your skin if we encounter each other right now, which is probably what psygib doesn't want without some opening damage. But without a rail, that might be kind of difficult. Oh, God. Oh, dear. 2-piece, make it 3-piece.
These pineapples are just incredible so far from dramiS. psygib made the right approach, though. Instead of going for that heavy, might as well go for the mega and the light rather than the heavy, because he probably assumed, knowing his luck, he's probably going to get railed anyway, and he's going to be so weak. dramiS would have cleaned him up nicely and picking up that mega and the light. Speaking of the mega and the light, though, it is available for him. Does pick up 1. Good rails as well for dramiS. psygib just knocking on death's door here, just trying to recover if he can. Picks up the light, but the problem is he's in no man's land. Directly above dramiS, but I like this one. Oh my god! What a mid-air direct as well, and It wasn't even just a read, just relied on the audio cue. Perfect stuff there from dramiS. psygib now back to the drawing board.
I feel like that was just an incredible read to make. You know there's nothing left to pick up. psygib isn't going to stick around for the item yet because he's way too weak to make something happen. So that rocket was kind of all he needed. Now they are going to trade a rocket back and forth though. dramiS able to get 100 before going down, spawning with a fresh stack. Not the worst thing in the world for him. He pushes aggressively with this rail and continues. Oh, good lord, that grenade finishes the job right as heavy spawns. And psygib can't really shut it down either. The steal is real. dramiS isn't very healthy, but he's got some pretty decent weapons. Just doesn't have an LG.
Such a shame. psygib even had that point blank to continue with that aggression, trying to clean things up. But again, the pineapple's been just hindering the performance here for psygib. Just can't really do much about it, but it does clean him up quite efficiently there. Then we've got 4 minutes left. Only 1 frag behind, so still a close affair. Pineapple's not going to help him at all in the slightest here. The pineapple's coming up from dramiS though, just been remarkable throughout the entirety of this matchup. Both items have been picked up, still got a while yet, so we're going to see a little bout here. Good rail coming out from dramiS as he backs away once again. Heavy's going to be up first, but at the same time though, it's going to be a question of who's going to go for what, where and how. As psygib looks like he's going to be trying to pressure towards the heavy, but again the weapon selection not going to do himself any favours at all. dramiS is going to get a lovely but clean frag there, picks up the heavy. He can go straight for the mega as he sees fit, depending if he gets it in time, but he's not going to rocket jump up, be a little bit too late for that. But he's doing a lot of damage here still. Good rails on psygib, but is he get taken down? No, he should not. 30 HP, would he go for the trade?
Might try and refrag, might not. But I got to say, when psygib went up that jump pad, I mean, trying as hard as he can. Oh, God, that pineapple into rail combo was unbelievable. Finishing things off nice and easily. dramiS has been just happy to sit and listen. Now that's been the aim of the game for him so far. Let psygib kind of go where he wants to go. As long as dramiS knows where he is, he can get so many of these shots. 3 rails back to back. And this is the worst time for things to snowball. We've got less than 3 minutes left to go. We're heavy champions, so I mean, even if you get dramiS, he's going to have a giant stack, so you're not going to be able to snowball as much as you would like to. This could very well have ended the map for psygib, as dramiS probably going to take this one to 0. psygib, though, able to turn things around, and just like that, 4 frags in less than 2 minutes can happen. With over 2 minutes, you've got a bit more time to work with.
Certainly does. That's definitely one way to create a momentum shift for dramiS, but a couple of minutes left in play. psygib is going to have to just take all the risks in the world in order to make this work. And this is actually a good start. There's quite a clean frag, so has time, has a couple of minutes left. Spit will come up any second now. He's got the information on his opponent. It's a matter of whether he's going to be able to do any damage as he goes towards that heavy, which he doesn't, and which means that dramiS is going to have that stack advantage, not until picking up that mega from psygib, but he's got the agility in his favour. He's got the movement speed he needs. It's just an order of being able to try and execute in some of these frags perfectly, and it's about the weapon selection as well. This is looking very good so far, though. Could clean up nicely if he can, but he doesn't. The pineapple comes out in fruition once again. Here, Ryan, and gets the rail as well, just making matters worse here. And it's got the light, the health bubble as well. He's recovered. And yeah, this is not looking too good now for psygib. This looks like it's going to be a first map win for dramiS, depending on the circumstances here. But it's looking highly likely.
Yeah, with that last frag, the unreturned heavy that dramiS was able to just pick up without having to really do anything. That made him more than healthy enough to make that fight forward, which pretty much sealed the fate of this first map. dramiS is going to go 1-0 up. There's a little bit more Quake left to play between these two, but yeah, dramiS had a lot of confidence in this game plan. You see a lot of these matchups on Vale, quite often a battle of the heavies, and it does tend to be these two because Scalebearer rarely makes it through. However, I think dramiS is going to feel pretty good about that one. Not much else to break down, I think, from the personal player side of things. I mean, dramiS was just kind of doing what he does on this map, which is pick a heavy champion, have a lot of accuracy, you know, belief in his aim, and he was able to just do what he wanted to do. It's as simple as that. 20 seconds left to go, and this map will be finished, so all that's left to do is thinking about the future and what next map will bring forward for us. As dramiS tries to give us a bonus highlight reel, perhaps. Oh,
okay.
maybe it's psygib.
That's one to add to the reel, isn't it? But you're right, though. It was a little bit unfortunate at times. Of course, the pineapples played a huge part of that, used them at the right times. Good contested the items. So I don't think he played bad at all. I think he played quite well, considering the position he was in half the time and trying to keep those items in check. He did struggle to go for the heavy, even with height advantage, which was a little bit of a worry. But that 3-3 with the rails around LG, I think that was the turning point, wasn't that? Was the momentum shift which dramiS was looking for, and psygib was probably looking at the clock thinking, yeah, I've got to do something now, got to do some high risk, high rewards. If I don't, then that's it, curtains. And it was pretty much. It's probably what we expected here. And you've got to remember, these map picks are all favouring dramiS here at this point, so it's going to be a very, very tough road for him. Maybe some free channel points for a lot of the viewers in chat here, but we'll see how things go, because psygib's still looking for that first series win. He still has a chance here, still got 2 more maps left to go. It will be on his map choice soon enough on Awoken, but yeah, I like what I've seen for psygib, but it's just, again, like I mentioned before, a little bit unfortunate, but yeah, that mid-air direct rocket was just beautifully timed from dramiS. Just one of many, we can say.
You get to see Keel used at this level. You start to see the game plan and why the aggression, constant aggression, really starts to rear its head. Because you just look at, you know, how do you mount an element of momentum on a map like this? Well, the goal is to get clean frags, right? And that's going to be a little bit harder against heavies because they're going to spawn with this large stack and they're probably going to go in and try and throw down anyway. However, the damage output from dramiS, especially with as rail heavy as he can be, the damage is so high, it just doesn't seem to matter what kind of champion you are. If you get rail, couple of pineapples and another rail, most champions are not surviving that off a basic stack. So when we see dramiS, sometimes we'll see him on Veil and he'll try and do that exact same thing against some people and it just won't work, but he'll continue to do it. I guess the reason being is that, hey, look, if it does work and I get 1 clean frag, that's the layer that we can start to push forward. We can start to be aggressive. We can keep our damage output high. I guess it's quite a demanding play style because you need to hit those shots, right? You miss one of those rails, those pineapples aren't going to do anything if they're LGing you to death. But we got to see a example of that strategy working. Don't see it every day, but we'll take it. Now, we've went from 2 heavies now to 2 lights. It's going to be Awoken as our next map, and another map famous for its combat, and these 2 players happy to do that. But mobility. Again, dramiS on Athena. We've seen Athena for months. We know what she can do in the hands of a really good player. I'm looking forward to seeing how psygib tackles this one, though, because him having access to that inject just changes things up a little bit, right? He might have that luxury to play a little bit slower. Can he put a lid on dramiS, as it were? He did pretty well on the last map. It's just things got out of control. You know, things started to slip through the cracks almost.
Yeah, and you got, sorry, with the Athena as well, it's like, with the grapples, it's a get out of jail free card, but at the same time, you can easily close out some of these frags at the same time, just abusing that verticality on this map. But we have to also talk about that last map with the fact that we didn't mention, dramiS had 2,800 damage, 66% rail, and it's a bit of a worry at times, considering that psygib more often than not was the one with the angles and the advantage, and dramiS just kept flying on in with that rail, and that was just some incredible plays here. But you're right, though, with the injecting play, it's going to do dividends in some areas, depending on the circumstances and the scenarios he puts himself in. And speak of the devil, we're going to start with psygib's POV. Just not mucking about here. Ryan just going to kick things off with that mega and is now just going to collect all the weapons in his arsenal. Finds them straight away, even though he takes that rail. He does do a little bit of tri-bulk damage in return. And dramiS is getting a little bit greedy here. I like it. Just trying to do a little bit more here and trying to recover at the same time. But still, you're looking to try and push on forward, but at the same time, just prioritising the weapons in his arsenal, which makes perfect sense at this stage. Megas come up in the next few seconds. dramiS is not going to be able to approach this. Might be best to try and at least contest this heavy.
Now, although there's been a lot of gunshots, it has been a relatively slow game because they're still trying to be what they want to be without any major fights actually breaking out. Maybe that was going to change here, but it does still look like neither player interested in engaging a bit too heavily here. Still in the process of just getting some of the all-important weapons. And actually, with that rail being picked up by psygib means that both players have that unholy trinity ready to go. Opening rail is very good for psygib. dramiS can back off towards... Well, there were a couple of lights there to soak up and bring himself back up to nice and healthy. Heavy makes things even better for him. The man needs to get himself some rockets. That's the only rocket he had left. psygib now without armor. Gonna have to work kind of hard to figure out, right, gotta go pick up the ones that exist. Let's take that. Let's look for the next item.
Yeah, psygib did a good job just reading dramiS, making sure to keep his distance while he was trying to recover, but not the best of spots, but he did his 76 with the last rocket. Oh no, dramiS was hoping that he could get the Mega whilst engaging in that bout, but wasn't able to in the end. Oh, again, looking very good for psygib. What a pixel rail there as he was going towards the LG room. Exactly what we wanted to see from psygib. Good beginning, good start. We know that he had a bit of a, not a slow start, but it was very difficult for him to try and recover, but managed to in the end. But dramiS, though, with a comeback of his own here. Good rocket straight afterwards from dramiS. Very back and forth, a completely or an entirely different approach compared to that first map earlier on.
Now, dramiS is taking a rather significant amount of damage, though. Tries to make his presence known to deny the heavy, but I feel like a little bit greedy. psygib knew. He saw that coming a mile away, and an absolutely lovely rail to turn it round. psygib continuing to show great respect. Knows that they're a bit fragile as a champion here. The inject does get popped. The LG 1v1 gonna favor psygib all day. Even before that Mega, he was more healthy. So 4-1. dramiS really wants the heavy, but at what cost? You have to ask yourself, conceding another frag just to take the item away, do you consider it worth it? Because even as a light champion, it's not like you can make an immediate push. You yourself are very weak, and the person that just fragged you has more weapons.
Yeah, even if dramiS burned that heavy, I think he was hoping that psygib was going to go for him straight afterwards, do the same thing twice on the trot, but he did. It's been a right bloodbath for this Mega, hasn't it? Like, every single time, both players have a very aggressive approach, no matter what angle they're coming from here, but dramiS is looking in a great spot to bring this comeback into fruition if he can. psygib realizes this, so again, just keeping his distance. Perfectly understandable here. Full grapples here for dramiS. Can use as he sees fit, but knows he's still there. Just trying to use that tribot just to make absolute certainty that he's there. Picks up the Mega. Heavy's coming up any second now. It's just a matter of how psygib's going to approach this, but it looks like he's going to leave it entirely here. And to be fair, I think it's perfectly understandable. We didn't have to start to contend. And if he did, he'll be put in a bad spot and with the height as well. Oh, that was a lovely... I was talking about the verticality earlier. That was a great example of it. And again, another great rail to slowly catch things up. It's one looking for the second, but doesn't get the angle. That was so close to making that a full frag.
It's just an absolutely fantastic bit of optimization there. You know, if you're going to play Athena at this level, you're gonna know all of these rather interesting ways the grapple can be used. And hey, look, I can back up and take the heavy and we'll have time to steal the light. He knew he was there. Nice rail as well. And uh-oh. The momentum is starting to mount in the favor of dramiS. psygib taking so much damage off the spawn almost every single time. Not a huge amount of pickups here without putting himself in harm's way. There's a reason he only picked up one. And dramiS is working very hard to bring this one back. We're not even halfway through yet, but psygib, that armor is a bit of a blessing, I think. But he has to take a serious risk to fight for this heavy.
He does, but barely contested for... Oh my god, that drive-by rail just going to make matters worse. psygib is now going to be questioning how long he can hold on to this lead and how long he can dilly-dally around and just try and skirt around and lap the map. But what a rocket as well. That was a direct line of all things. And dramiS is just playing, in terms of his aim skill, just picture perfect. A drive-by again. psygib just trying to make ends meet, but just can't do anything at this point. Don't get me wrong, psygib has been... Okay, never mind. I was going to say being playing cat and mouse really well until that last engagement. But drive-bys, the direct rockets, the reads, the predictions dramiS is making. And psygib, it's not like he's going around 300-400 speed. He's like literally darting around the map super quick to not really give dramiS much of an opening. But dramiS is just not affected by it at all. His aim skill has been near enough perfect. He should be able to clean this one up as well and take the lead for the first time in this matchup.
It's the difference in dynamic, unfortunately. psygib was pretty confident all the way through the map, but now even watching things through dramiS's point of view, there's been a rather distinct emphasis on, I just need to keep the hell away from this guy. You know, psygib has not wanted to fight dramiS at all, but dramiS has just been simply forcing the issue, of which even more damage is done. All of this damage is psygib trying to run away, right? And even that rail would have put psygib in a horrible position. Now finally able to beat the item first, and he takes away the Mega, but without armor. This is still a fight that I think dramiS is happy to take, but he has to sort of pray to the shotgun gods to get a good spread. Doesn't get the rail. That would have been a kill shot for sure. Misses the second as well. That once more would have taken him out. psygib survives with an extra bonus bit of damage, but ultimately I don't think it's going to amount to much, because at the end of the day, dramiS just wants that item and he'll take it. psygib doesn't have any armor either. This opening rail again misses its mark. It's been a bit messy the last couple of frags, but dramiS continues to push forward and just have that last laugh. Now onto the jump pad. Not sure going on the jump pad was part of the plan. I do think the rocket might have knocked him onto that one, but just like that, we've seen the snowball effect of Awoken, and we're seeing it again. Defensive rail, but with the grappling hook, gave him one bonus rail before he inevitably bit the dust.
Very difficult here for psygib. The pull for psygib. Oh, direct to rail. That was exactly what he required to come back in this matchup. And now the momentum swing here, Ryan, coming straight on forward. Oh my God, the drive straight afterwards. And psygib's like, I don't care. You could do what you did to me, and I'll just do it vice versa. 10 times harder at this stage. And Mega coming up soon, but again, gets top mid control. Heavy's up in the next 5 seconds, though. But look at this again, your question. Oh, what a rail. Again, both of them just hitting so hard back and forth. And psygib is really giving it right now. He wants his victory. He needs his victory. In all fairness, dramiS is still super weak, but knows that time isn't on his side. There's no way he's going to survive for 2 minutes, considering the stack psygib has right now. But this matchup, very, very back and forth. And it's just great to see. We thought it could be a curtain call for psygib, considering the morale boost that dramiS has. But psygib is just all for it here. He's going to try and make it again, but will he about to take it down?
Oh, deleted.
So dramiS takes him down, gets to heavy, now back heavily in his favor.
Oh, it's just these kind of really cheeky plays. psygib forced to retreat. 1 HP. All it took was one little dusting of the LG to finish him off. And with 1 minute and a half left to go, dramiS fully stacked. Oh, and these rails just continue to hit the mark as well. It's scary times for psygib. If there was any map you're going to win, this one's looking to be the best chance so far. It's as close as it has been. Manages to get a frag there on dramiS just in time as the heavy goes into psygib's possession as well. Mega's going to be the next choice. dramiS, I don't think he's going to risk it. I think he's going to keep a lot more confidence in his positioning, in his rail, and in his damage. Because this is exactly where things can close up here. I mean, dramiS, he sprung a couple of good traps on psygib. psygib out stacking him considerably. If he wasn't Anarchy there, he would have died. dramiS accidentally blows himself up. And now it's even Stevens with 40 seconds left to go. At the rate of this, it could be a sudden death, but that rail from psygib, absolutely the thinnest line of sight, and he found his way. Great start. Oh, that rocket hurts, though. God, someone hits good damage, Harry, and immediately it's returned in kind.
Oh, this is just absolute madness. psygib, I was hoping he would try and deny the weapons, especially LG in the rail, but dramiS is on that rail side, so Sandy's going to give that up also. 10 seconds left until we go into sudden death. But psygib is the one with map control here. The problem is he's just giving it up and giving it straight to dramiS for top mid. Picked up the Mega anyway, so it's perfectly understandable why he made that choice. So you can see stacks almost equals. It's just anyone's guess here, because psygib has the tiniest of advantages in terms of that department. But with the inject, it could work in his favour. psygib now just hasn't got the info he needs as of yet. He does know he's in that rail area, just a matter of where. But I think he's just holding top mid just to play it safe rather than sorry.
They trade the rails. If either side wasn't returned, you'd think there'd be some kind of significant push, but with this being sudden death, they have to be so careful. Where do we go from here? The rail 1v1. Caught him retreating. Oh, that two-piece. dramiS has been able to take away all of the armor, but he's still hesitant to push forward. It was psygib in a better defensive position, and even split between the two items. I mean, there's so much that could happen in this sudden death. Are we going to go for the same item? Are we going to look for one and disengage and take the other? Does it end here? Mega's been taken. And with that, dramiS takes the heavy. But with more armor on the side of dramiS, one would think that this is going to be his fight to take, especially if he gets some unreturned opening damage. The grapple hook's been so good, misses the rail. That would have been the end of the game. But he can't hit the shot, Harry. But
if
where
I
does
could.
psygib go?
He's not even available now, but he has the inject just to give himself a little bit safe. Effects insurance he is now, so this is a time where he needs to be so careful. Mega's up, so is the heavy, but he knows he's down there, which means that he can. Oh no!
Why?
Dramas called him.
Why?
No, that was
I think he knew.
Yeah,
I think he knew that dramiS was going to be going towards heavy as well.
Had to.
I'm shocked he took that jump. I think the moment we saw his feet leave the ground, I wasn't even looking at that through dramiS's point of view. I don't think any of us were. We could just feel that dramiS was just by heavy. He's looking through the hole, and he's like, "Go on, mate. Go on, go and do it." And unfortunately, I think the slight nod of acceptance from psygib probably says what we're all thinking. Oh man, why did I do that?
The one shot he was hoping for him to miss. It was a huge risk though, and players at this level sometimes will just prioritise the frag, or at least the chip, because he had the heavy. He knew he had the heavy because he obviously heard the audio cue from the jump. So he's like, well, clearly my opponent's just going to have or try and attempt a gentleman's agreement for the items, but dramiS is like, no, not at all. But respect to psygib though, what a comeback. It's so difficult to compete with that kind of momentum swing and just create one himself. This direct to rail was what caused it and what created exactly what he needed in order for that morale boost to come back.
Man.
But this is it. This is the angle. He heard it coming and he was like,
waiting.
Lovely. Exactly. And you got to remember though, rail 58%. Look at the damage dramiS did as well against a light champion. And I think it was psygib. Don't see it on the stats, but he picked up 33 lights. 33. That's unheard of.
Well, we're going into our third map now, Ruins of Sarnath, and actually a matchup you don't see every day. Galena for dramiS, and then the Slash for psygib. So this is quite interesting to me. I'm really looking forward to seeing what psygib can actually do with this one, as dramiS is going to be pretty comfortable. I mean, that was a nail-biter of a second map, but we've got to give credit to dramiS. He kept himself composed and ready for whatever happened, and did the right thing, right? He knows his opponent's up near rail. Just sit there and wait. You know, maybe I'll get lucky. You know, I think it was that lapse in judgment, perhaps one would consider a moment of luck because it's just so unlikely that someone would do it. But dramiS was ready for it. I mean, hey, he could have missed that shot. I don't think any of us would have missed it, but he could have missed it. You never know. And now we're opening up into our final map here, the light versus the medium. And if dramiS is continuing to have a rail of that caliber, lights on ruins are a risky pick.
Yeah, they certainly are. And psygib's probably thinking to himself, why did I straight line that jump? Why didn't I just like curve around a little bit or make it a little bit more difficult for dramiS? But I think it's just because of the fact that he thought there's no way. I think he was just hoping that dramiS would go for the heavy, then take an angle. But he took the angle first, which is perfectly understandable. And it's just one of the things. These things happen really. So very unfortunate for psygib. Lost the first map by 3 frags. And this time by 1. We felt like it was going to be psygib just due to the fact that halfway through the second map, there was no return damage. It was just him running away the entire time and just using that recovery process. But every time he tried to recover, he would get railed straight away again and again and again. And dramiS just hitting these ridiculous shots. And this is why dramiS was able to take down, you know, the 3 staples of this league in terms of Rafa, Benga, and Razy, just because of shots and positioning such as that. So again, currently dramiS up 2-0, looking to make it a third, but let's see if psygib can claw one back here in this matchup as we're going to go straight into ruins here, Ryan, and we'll have to see how his Slash is going to do against the Galena from dramiS.
We start off this match. Oh wow, pushing in for the gauntlet. I mean, oh, what are you doing? Ow! That was a very, very weird beginning. However, I mean, look, you got a starting machine gun and here's a Slash point blank. The gauntlet's going to give you the highest damage, right? So, hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. But hopefully that doesn't happen again. Anyway, the LG with the rail. It's somewhat enough for dramiS to make something happen here because, I mean, this is a distinct lack of stack, any kind of survivability. The rocket is the first choice, something that dramiS completely flies on by and puts himself in position to take this mega too. Now psygib's going to have to be kind of careful here. Yeah, you got 1 frag in the lead, but this map's only just begun. Oh, that second rail. Didn't even need it, but dramiS playing it safe. And that's now going to be 1-1 just like that. It is the squishy nature of Slash. combined with dramiS that when he's on, his rail is fantastic. It has me a little bit nervous. But where do we go from here? dramiS, nicely stacked, has timing of both items here. Managing the cooldown too, which is going to be less plasma trail, and that's going to be less options for Slash to escape in a pinch. The LG. So we can just see how much damage dramiS took before he even started fighting back, and he still traded that one out. I mean, it's Galena versus Slash. There's something that psygib might struggle with here. However, lovely position for the LG. He knows what an awkward place to place rockets, and my LG's just going to laugh at you.
Literally 200 something damage with LG in less than 5 seconds. He's trying to get away, and lucky for him, the trail keep him alive. Oh, that was a bit too close to comfort, but it doesn't matter. Mega's up any second now. He's just lucky that dramiS isn't putting on a huge amount of pressure here. He does pack away, just trying to build up the armor stack once again. But it's looking much better now. psygib looking to try and take this third map if he can, to give him a bit of leeway. This Heavy's been up for a little bit of time so far. He's just keeping the totems in check. There's still 2 more down there. And you can see that dramiS basically playing the same game as what Wenger did, just abusing that courtyard and heavy jump pad in terms of the hourglasses and just dropping down in a heavy, because that's what he's going to prioritize first. Oh no, his backwards turn straight after this, but he picks up the Mega anyway. But you got to remember, it did take 70 for that. He'll have to trail if he needs to.
It's no wonder that psygib is going to put as much emphasis on these totems as he is, because you're already dealing with a medium versus light matchup, and at the same time you're fighting a champion who, when overstacked, can just give themselves essentially a Mega whenever they want. That is a fight that you can hit every shot in the world, and it's still going to be difficult to do so. Now psygib has been playing a really tricky game of cat and mouse so far. dramiS's rockets have not been able to get as much damage as you're normally used to. However, very weak. psygib's in big trouble. 7 HP. dramiS using that chance to disengage and take the Mega, but in doing so gives up a railable position. psygib hits the damage to begin. Is he going to sit pretty here and wait for the light? Yeah, it sounds like it's just appeared, and appear it will. But in doing so, dramiS probably heard it, so dramiS, all right, he's prioritizing the Mega. This is something that we'll grow to expect. psygib's been trying so hard to cut him off, but he plays a scary game in doing so. 15 HP this time, but this time, no escape for you, my friend. 3 to 3, and spawning with no armor, the classic light. He's already picked up a light down near where Super Shotgun is, so he knows he can't pick that one up, and dramiS probably knows too.
Sure, psygib got flashbacks from when he got railed at the very end of that last map. Happened again as he's trying to go back.
Don't bring up Harry.
I know, mate, I have to. I'm a horrible human a horrible human being. And look at this, though, as well. dramiS has got that. Oh, got the overstack here. And he's still got a totem in his back pocket. So this is it's not looking too good at the moment in terms of stack advantage for psygib. But look at the LG. Misses the rail, but should surely be able to try and clean this up. But the trail did so much damage as he was getting a little bit too aggressive, trying to challenge that and trying to at least clean that up. But oh, will he be able to stop him? He does, and gets to heavy. That's going to be huge for dramiS to get another frag back to back.
Beautiful weapon choice for dramiS as well, and no escape for you, psygib. You've just spawned. And again, this is the nature of the light champions. They are so vulnerable. But I was going to say beautiful weapon choice there from dramiS. That OG, you're going to be full speed ahead of Slash. You're probably going to be in the air just a little bit. And let me shut that down. Stop me from picking up the item. Kill you. I'll take it for myself. However, another opening. The trap has been sprung by dramiS, but he's quite weak. Doesn't matter too much, though, because that heavy is going to be happily taken. psygib can't afford to challenge it. It's too risky to challenge it.
He isn't. psygib, he hasn't actually got any rockets as of yet, so he's looking to try and pick those up at some stage. Especially wants for that defensive purposes to keep dramiS away from his position. Now dramiS is biding his time once again. He knows that in terms of his agility, in terms of his movement, he hasn't got the advantage here. So of course psygib can catch up as he sees fit. Burns to heavy at least. Again, the rail making matters worse. Now increasing this lead. psygib trying to claw back from a 3 frag deficit and has the overstack once again.
Another scary position, however. Only becomes significantly scarier when the armor is in play, but that's something that dramiS has had A rather considerable lock-on, 8 armors to 3 so far for psygib. About to be 4 though, as that rail does push dramiS away. It does force him to retreat. But we're starting to open the other element, right? These defensive plays. I don't really assume dramiS is going to play much of a runaway game. You can't run away from Slash if you have no mobility. However, you can start to play heavy positions. You know, those opening rails, opening rockets. Rockets haven't really been dramiS's best friend on this map so far. In part, that can just be the really good defensive positions from psygib. Makes the rockets a lot harder to land consistently, but we have more of these totems situated. And that's where I get a bit worried, because if dramiS even gets 1 extra frag, the amount of work psygib's going to have to do to break into this brick wall that dramiS has put forward is going to become a lot harder.
I like what dramiS was doing as well. He's trying to play tower defense with the courtyard area as well. Just trying to bait him to try and approach him so that if he does, he's got those 2 totems for the overstack again straight afterwards. But too little too late. But psygib kind of really needs to push this and take a risk just in order to try and bring this back before the heavy comes, but it doesn't work in his favor once again. Let's up these hourglasses, and this is what I mean by the tower defense. He's got these totems up. He can just recover whenever he likes, and if they've not been used and he's at a full stack, then of course he can just linger around whenever with the extra 100 HP, and he's actually going to put another one down, falls into one of the totems, and psygib's probably thinking, okay, you've got a nice little nest there. I'll have to try and approach that later on, but the problem is the fact that dramiS is collecting so many hourglasses, but he's just recovering as he sees fit as many times as he likes. It's just becoming extremely tough for psygib to claw back, and it's going to be even harder now, especially with that 5 frag deficit. So, yeah, just need to be a little bit aware of his totems, take him out around the courtyard, but at this point it's probably too late. 2 minutes left, and dramiS is looking extremely good so far on map number 3.
psygib's in a difficult position, right? Even very recently it was, do I even go out of my way to try and take out these totems because I have such little time? I need to get these frags. And even, let's say, every sweep of the courtyard, for example, I overextend by a few extra seconds to look for totems or whatever. That's time that you're going to lose later. Time that you could have spent trying to get fragged. But at the same time, oh, well, I'll leave the totems up. He's going to do what he did a couple of frags ago, which was, I've got 2 totems that you haven't destroyed. I'm going to wait for the fight, and I'm just going to drop it down and make you have to deal with basically final boss damage. So this has been a well-played matchup for dramiS, but must be said, I looked at this on paper. The frags going the way they have, this was what I think a lot of us might have been worried about. I think there's a reason that Awoken would have given psygib arguably his best chance to get the single map win here. The map picks were in dramiS's favor from the very beginning, especially this one, because of how he's executed it and just made Galena this untouchable machine versus the very squishy Slash. That second map was the one that was the one he needed, did psygib.
And psygib knew there was obviously a couple of totems he's missed out on in terms of that overstack. He just didn't know where they were. And then at the 8-minute mark, when psygib found those 2 totems at courtyard, he was like, damn, here they are. There was absolutely nothing he could have done from there onwards. But 40 seconds afterwards, and still going to try and clean up another once again, but he does not. His dramiS does finish things up once again, just looking to try and recover, but we've already said it. Too little, too late. It's going to be a 3-0. And dramiS here just finish things up, trying to go for the gauntlet, but not going to happen.
Not much left to reflect on here, other than just a congratulations. And with 10 seconds left to go, it's just where we are now, isn't it? psygib did a valiant effort, I would say. But with that final match, I just don't think anything in particular was working in his favor before that map even begun. And then dramiS played as well as he needed to. He played the matchup perfectly. He knew what he needed to do. And man just did it, didn't he? That's my high-level analysis of that one. You looked at it on paper and you just know that there's going to be that insurmountable stack difference that you're going to have to fight. psygib kind of did what he could, but when those fights broke out, there's only so much you can do, man. I mean, even if you hit every single shot, dramiS was playing the totem game so well, on top of just a good old game of Quake, it was going to be hard, you know, so hard that who really would have been able to deal with it, you know? I guess maybe there's a reason you don't see that matchup that much.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense as well, and it's just a shame that psygib just didn't clear out the courtyard any sooner. If he did, it could have swayed a little bit differently in terms of the scenario and circumstance he put himself in, but dramiS just played it outright, you know, just collecting all the hourglass on the heavy jump pad in the courtyard for free, might I add, and keeping that heavy in check as well. Just made sure to contest it each and every single time. There's a couple of risks that psygib could have took in order to bring himself at least some kind of leeway or comeback in order to take map number 3, but every time it was just dramiS with the rail, and it was just a real pain in the backside. And it was actually psygib actually did more rail damage this time round and was able to do 50%, so not too shabby. But yeah, it was a night and day difference compared to the first 2 maps. But from psygib, I liked what I saw the first 2 maps, especially the comeback we saw in Awoken. That was just incredible. It's very hard to punish someone when someone's like riding the high on the momentum. But dramiS with 3-0, what we predicted, what we expected 1 or 2 maps to be quite a close affair indeed. But you know, until then, psygib's still looking for that first W.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of look at that final map and you'd think that realistically you just needed to try and prevent that setup, something that's often easier said than done at this level of play. But the second that gets locked in, then it almost feels like with that kind of circumstance, it can be like a win condition, you know. We definitely saw elements of that in the final map. But dramiS will no doubt be feeling very good about that. Following him on social media, you know, posting a lot about this upcoming game of saying, this is a big one for me, you know, this is a good opportunity for me to just get that final burst of success as we open up towards the finals. So very well done between dramiS there, and no doubt he's going to be feeling very happy about how things just went down. But believe it or not, folks, that's half of this evening's action done already. We're going to be opening up now for our 3rd series of the day, our first featured matchup of the day, which means that we're bringing back in the one and only DJ Wheat. We'll see you in about 5 minutes time. Thanks for joining us so far. We'll be right back.